Typical day is get up early as I physically can. It's getting harder and harder, I gotta say, every day, just because we're running around the world doing so much. But a typical day is first thing in the morning, warm water with lemon. That's my go-to drink first thing in the morning. 300 burpees, hopefully a little bit of a run. I got to get my pull-ups in to counteract the burpees, and then it's right to email. I get about 600 emails a day. And actually, I should correlate. Now that I said that, I should say that I have to do half as many emails in burpees each day. People will start sending emails like crazy. But emails, phone calls all day long. Go to bed around 10 p.m. And then it's like Groundhog Day. It starts all over again. You know, my first extreme event was really construction work. Looking back, I was doing adventure racing, although it wasn't adventure racing, it was construction work for a decade. I worked around the clock with my hands, whether it was putting bricks down or working on swimming pools, whatever it may be, 7 days a week. When I left that and went to Wall Street, again, I started to get sedentary. I'm sitting in front of a computer. The money was much better, but physically I was awful. I met a guy who was on the cover of like a Men's Health magazine who ran a stairwell in Manhattan. And he wrote me into running the stairs with him, and he was on the cover, so he looked great. I wanted to emulate him, and he talked me into doing a 3-hour adventure race, and I was hooked. I mean, it just felt like construction again. It felt we were outside. I was breathing heavy. It was competitive, so there were people to my right and left that were pushing me harder, and that was it. I went right to get me the hardest race in the world. I've got to test myself. I would say my greatest achievement in life would be the 4 kids I have. I mean, at this stage, they're 8, 6, 5, and 2. I've done a good job. Hopefully they don't turn out bad. I'm a little aggressive towards them. You know, they work out 2 hours a day. They do kung fu. They're only allowed to watch TV in Mandarin. So as of today, greatest achievement. I'm a bit of a pain in the neck. I'm a bit of a micromanager, but we now have a great team. Our biggest challenge is we're growing so fast. I've been to like 6 or 7 countries here in the last 3-4 days, and so it's not physically possible for me to be designing every course, but I do have lots of input. The book is really written for everybody. If you look at our Spartan races, we get 4-year-olds, we get 80-year-old people. And the book is really about how to become a better person, no matter how you define that. I wish there was like a pill. When you open the book, you just take the pill and you're a better person, but unfortunately that's not the book. The book is going to tell you there's no way around it. You've got to work hard to succeed in life.
Yeah.
That's really what the book's about. Most people can't get motivated to work hard. The book will help you get motivated, and it lies in this concept of changing your frame of reference. We're too comfortable in life. You in the UK, us in the United States. Certainly some third world countries aren't comfortable, but by and large we're too comfortable, and comfort stunts growth. My weakness, everybody has weakness in life. My weakness is vanilla ice cream. I love Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream, but I'm working on this weakness, and I would say I slip about 12 times a year. I eat a whole pint, and the last month or so I've been pretty good. It's very difficult to get people off the couch. We've been trained as little kids, right, depending on how our parents raise us, to seek comfort, to seek easier, to seek cheaper, to seek faster. And I would argue, and Spartan Race argues, that the pendulum has swung too far. Right, and that a little hard in our life, it will be very good for us. People don't necessarily accept that right away, but when I grab them and get them up early in the morning and throw them into something like this, they finally agree. Yeah, I think we've struck a good balance between a tough challenge, Spartan Race being a tough challenge, as well as it being too crazy, in that yes, we have a 90% finishes rate, so I might argue that's too many finishing. I think the reason we do, I mean, look at Ironman. Ironman has a very high completion rate as well, and I think that's because it looks so intimidating that it forces people into a healthier lifestyle before they actually participate, which is exactly what our goal is. And so that's why you're getting a higher number. But at the same time, the accomplishment is so great that the medal they get means something. The reason mud has become such an important part of this industry is we've been taught as children to stay out of the mud, don't get dirty, stay clean. Everything in our house is in a perfect, tidy box. Our cars are kept nice and neat. We go to car washes. So it's very foreign to us to get dirty and play out in the mud. Mud is also sticky, uncomfortable. People get stuck in the mud. For me, it's just, the meaning for mud for me is just, it's just a matter of getting even me, out of my comfort zone. I just did the race in Prague a few days ago, and it was muddy. I mean, waist deep mud. And you get stuck, and you're like, what the F what am I doing here, right? And then you finish the thing, and it's exactly why we started this. It got me very uncomfortable, right? It pushed my limits, and it was awesome to come across the finish line. It is extremely difficult to make sure that every race we have around the globe is identical, and that's something we're trying to achieve. I mean, that's part of the reason I'm on the road right now. And I was in Prague, I was in Spain. What's starting to happen, which is really interesting for me, is we're seeing things that they do in Prague or Spain or Italy or Australia that we're not doing in the States. So we're taking some of the ideas that are popping up around the world. So I think it'll take some time. It'll probably take another year. And what everybody's doing is elevating everybody else's game. I think it's going to take, best case, I mean, I'd like to say 8 years, probably 12 years away before we can get in the Olympics, but it's a goal. I'm pretty driven when it comes to goals, and we're going to get it there. Well, one of the biggest things, which is why we're running around the world and trying to get standardization, is you need 41, 42 countries. We've got to set up the governing bodies. That's why we started the IORF. We've got to have obstacles that are athletic in nature. So although for us the gladiators were really something fun that participants liked, that we liked, those are things that are too subjective. And one gladiator may do this, another gladiator may do something else, and we're trying to get somewhat of a standardization process in place so these obstacles are more standardized. So I think the elites and what we talk about in the Olympics is just the tip of the Spartan spear. And what I mean by that, the rest of the spear is the couch potato. 90% of our athletes will always be, even when we get in the Olympics, the couch potato. 10% will be the elites, but what will happen is those elites will get lots of press, and they'll talk about how they train, and that will rip more people off the couch. So that's really the goal. There's no money in getting it in the Olympics. It's just, if we want to change the world, there's nothing more disgusting to me than walking through an airport and seeing people overweight, obese, eating garbage. And so you're only going to change that one way, and it's you got to shock people, and that's what we're doing. Yeah, so I'm pretty creative. The organization we built is pretty creative. I think over the next 10 years we're going to have to stay creative to keep it exciting and fresh, and just watch the marketplace, watch what people are enjoying to do. You know, Ironman's been around 30 years. It's still very, very popular. I think this sport's here to stay, and I think we've got at least as long as Ironman has had. So I think we're going to be fine. So the idea with the IORF is to set some standardization, really to start with just ourselves. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we can't have, like you suggested earlier, someone in Prague or a Spartan Race in Milan not matching what's going on in the US. So we need standards. We need to make sure athletes are treated the same. We need to make sure they're safe. And so the first step for us was setting up an organization to do that. Will we let other organizations participate in IORF? Absolutely, as long as they play to those standards. And the reason that's so important is if another player, God forbid, does something wrong, it's unsafe, that eventually hurts us and the whole industry. I think safety is the number one concern, not only for Spartan Race, but anybody in this industry. I think you've got to balance safety with getting people uncomfortable and helping them step outside their comfort zone. And when you strike that balance, like we're all striking, there is danger. People will die. doing these races. People will get injured doing these races, but people get injured and die walking across the street. So let's not be negligent about it, but let's really push people to the edge of their comfort zone, because that's how they grow. I would say we're at 2. We're at 2. So we've got a long way to go. I mean, this trip that I'm taking here internationally has really woken me up to the opportunities are enormous in this sport. When I'm in the UK, I check out Muddy Race. Now, Spartan the up.